Hi, Candace. Thanks so much for joining the show today.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, and as we get started here, can you give the audience a little indication of your background in design, maybe specifically design ops?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a little bit more eclectic background, as I think most design ops people do. So I started as a lawyer doing intellectual property and sort of like, I don't want to say design law, but it really is intellectual property law. And so I found that working with creatives was actually the part of my job that I liked, and working with lawyers was not the part of my job that I liked. So I pivoted in around 2012 and started doing design ops stuff. I started at a tiny little agency doing B2B product design, and then was able to pivot to Pinterest, where I was heading up the brand team. So doing more like marketing, Marcom stuff there.
Hmm.
And ultimately decided I really loved product. So pivoted back to product, and joined Facebook right before the Facebook mission sort of changed to be from friends and family to being about like communities and your interest graph. And so I happened to be the head of ops for a tiny little team called Groups, which ended up becoming a gigantic team over the 4 years I was there. And we shipped a bunch of different products: campus, dating, neighborhoods, anything that was like community centered. We were really building and incubating there. And now I'm happily at Netflix, and I head up a very different team. It's actually like an enterprise tools team for the Netflix movie studio called Studio XD.
Oh, very cool. So tell us a little bit about that studio and like sounds like you're designing or helping designers navigate proprietary tools.
Exactly. So when you think about like what a working movie studio does, it actually starts from what we think of as like the content. So like if you want to green light a piece of content like Bridgerton or a reality show like Selling OC. So it starts there. And so we actually make tools for studio execs to understand the content that is in queue. Once a piece of content is greenlit, then it goes to legal and finance to make sure we can secure the rights to, the humans, the music, the locations, all of that good stuff. Then we move into like kind of like well, it's called a slate, but it really is just like a production tool. Like think about Asana, like a tool for like making sure the people and everything is like
Right.
on time. Once production is wrapped, it moves on to post production, which is like green screen work, animation, media work. And then off to globalization, right? To internationalize so that if something is, let's say, UCAN specific, it can be shared in other regions. And then our final like big cohort of products is in the actual like Marcom space. So we create the tools that cut all of the like visual marketing assets that you see across, like out of home, in product, et cetera. So it's a huge team.
So, Candace, I'm wondering what advice you have for junior emerging designers or maybe even new design ops professionals.
For designers, I always say like operations will unlock you way more than you really probably understand. The best designers I've ever worked with, whether they were individual contributors or leadership, have always had a really strong operational mindset. And by best, I mean most successful, most innovative, and most impactful. I think you can really like you can go really deep in craft and be an amazing craftsperson, but if you don't know the levers for selling through your vision, communicating with others, such a huge piece of the role, and really understanding your operational levers. So, where to sell things through or timing, your vision just really isn't going to be successful. So, ops can probably seems boring after going to design school and like you have all this like sexy work and you're like, really you're at some fancy company, but ops I see is really the backbone of any great like design team. So if you don't have a design program manager or coordinator on your team, you can sort of get curious about this stuff yourself. In terms of for junior design ops professionals, I would say get really fluent in UX, like speak the language. It's probably one of the hardest things to learn when it comes to design ops. Like you can learn the tools, you can learn like how to run a great pipeline, how to write a great operational brief or program brief. But if you aren't fluent in the language of product design or brand design or UXR, it's going to hinder your growth and development. And so make sure you're really curious there.
So Candace, I think we spoke about kind of the basics of design ops, but it sounds like your team's kind of doing some really advanced design things in, studio editing for visual effects and things like that. So how do you understand these really niche design roles?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question because when people hear about design ops, I feel like they get past maybe the first layer of like, oh yeah, they're multipliers. They're going to make your work faster and better. But there is this sort of like a 2.0 or 200 level design ops that I don't think gets enough, sunshine on it, which are design ops people like my team at Netflix, which are over like these really specific domains. So if you think about what the studio product innovation team does at Netflix, which is a world-class actual like movie studio product team, is we're like a mini Adobe with like creating like After Effects type tools. Like we're also a mini Intuit with like finance tools and budgeting tools. And then we're cutting marketing assets, right? We're making tools that cut marketing assets. So this is really like pushing what I like to think of as the forefront of design ops, which is really specific domains that have very little in common. Like even like think of them as all walled gardens. And then how can we look at the team as really like a monolith of designers and create velocity, take advantage of like scale, those types of things, and sort of think about how are our designers across all of our walled gardens more alike than different. And so I'm not going to lie, it's been a huge challenge to sort of bring the team under like a federal wrapper, I guess is one way to put it. But I think that if you're thinking about hiring for design ops or growing design ops on your team, and you're thinking, well, my team is like so domain specific across all of these areas, I wouldn't at all say that's a blocker for hiring design ops professionals. We really can like suss out the individual needs of every designer, which isn't that different, and create opportunities at scale to really unlock them, drive craft, velocity, all those good things that everybody wants.
Is design ops and should design ops be part of I think design ops comes in when there's a growing design team. Are you part of helping grow that design team? And by that, I mean sourcing designers, recruiting, interviewing. Should they be?
Absolutely, definitely. Having an operational and organizational mindset is really critical, especially for design leadership. Now, the average I see, I'm not convinced that design ops needs to be involved, but at two places where design ops are really, really critical is organizational design, right? Like, what does our org look like? Like, how is our org positioned? What are our layers and how are those layers in terms of like design leadership and cohorts connected to our cross-functional partners? Design ops is great at this, right? We can really look at things a little bit more objectively than maybe the average design director or design manager who like wants a team of rock stars. I think the other place is like, you don't have to have an elder team or a really mature team to have design ops. Like you can actually start a team with design ops at like, let's say the very beginning, and grow the team with design ops. And I truly and firmly believe that this will actually keep you from operational debt and tech debt that you accrue over time without having like that person whose job it is to organize the team. So you can get 5 years into something and be like, oh man, we really need a design ops person. Or you can get 5 years into something and be like, I'm really glad we had a design ops person.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. I think that's all great advice. Where would you point people looking to learn more? Any resources out there that you recommend?
Yeah, so well, shout out to Meredith Brandt, who is one of my mentors. She hired me at Pinterest and took a huge chance on me, which was amazing. And she runs the Design Ops Assembly. She's one of the co-founders. And the Design Ops Assembly, which you could easily search on Google or LinkedIn, is really a hub of like basically like all things design ops, right? So it's a community. It is a knowledge library. It is an interactive like place for workshops, classes, like you name it, right? So it really is like Design Ops University, I guess. It's is a way to put it. And so I would say start there, because that will just be a pivot point for so many more resources and people. The other thing I would say is like Medium is a great place just to get like design ops or DPM curious. And then of course, like, you could always reach out to people on LinkedIn, like people like me.
Yeah, 100% great advice. And I'm a huge fan of Design Ops Assembly. Meredith's been on the show. Awesome resource. So thanks for shouting that out. And thanks for being on the show today.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Alex.